begin. This is the example that I'm going to solve. The inverse demand functions of a man and woman for oranges are given as P is equal to this and this, respectively. The domestic supply function is Q is equal to this, and the foreign supply function is this. What is the total demand and total supply function? So this was the inverse demand function for the man consumers. This M denotes man. So first we need to draw graphs. Like for this course, for all economics course, I will recommend you to draw graphs if possible. It will help you to learn and it will make the questions much easier for you. So what price makes the quantity demanded zero? Like from this equation, if quantity demand is zero, this part will be zero and P is equal to 50. So for this equation, the y-axis intersected at 50. So if the price is 50, demand will be equal to zero. If the price is zero, then this right-hand side should be equal to zero. 50 minus 2 over 3 times Q. If Q is 75, this side also will be equal to zero. So this is how you draw the demand curve for the man consumers. For women, the inverse demand function is P is equal to 50 minus 2 times quantity demanded. So again, if the Q is equal to zero, then the price is 50. So if the price is 50, the demand is equal to zero. And if the price is zero, from this equation, the quantity demand will be equal to 25. So these are the demand curves. So how do we find aggregate demand? So if the price is equal to 50, demand will be zero. If the and you can see demand is decreasing in the price. So if the price decreases, demand will increase. So if the price is over 50, there will be no demand for both type of consumers. If the price is between 0 and 50, we just need to sum the demand functions, not the inverse demand functions. So we need demand functions from these two functions. So if you leave Q alone here, you will get this. It's just basic algebra. And if you leave Q alone here, you will get this. And if you sum them up, this part will be your aggregate demand function. Do you have any questions up to this point? Okay, then I'm moving on. So this was supply function for the domestic producers. This denotes domestic. So what price make the domestic supply zero? So if supply is zero, left-hand side is equal to zero, then here needs to be equal to zero. And if P is 5, then this side will also be equal to zero. So this domestic supply curve intersects the y-axis at price equal to 5. And this function, this supply function, increasing in price. That's why it will be shaped like this. A foreign supply function is also similar. It was equal to minus 15 plus 3 over 2 times P. So what price makes the supply zero? Put 0 over here. So this side needs to be equal to 0. And if P is 10, this side will also be equal to 0, and it's increasing in P. So this is the supply curve for the foreign producer. So there is a trick here. How do we find the aggregate supply? So if the price is less than 5, both domestic and the foreign suppliers don't produce, because it will be negative. So they don't produce. So if the price is less than 5, the total supply is 0. So if the price is between 5 and 10, so it's at least 5 or greater, so domestic suppliers will produce oranges. But if a price is less than 10, foreign suppliers will not produce that good. So if the price is between 5 and 10, only domestic suppliers will produce the good. So the aggregate supply will be equal to this. If the price is over 10, if it's greater than 10, so both suppliers will produce that good. So we can just sum up the both supply equations. If we sum them, we will get this. If the price is over 10, this is the aggregate supply. This is our aggregate supply function. So I'm moving on to next part of the question. Feel free to stop me anytime you want if you have any questions. So what is the equilibrium quantity and price when there is a ban on foreign trade? So in the equilibrium, total supply and total demand will be equal to each other. This is how we can find equilibrium values for quantity and price. And there is a ban on foreign trade. So only domestic producers can produce that good, can supply that good. So the total demand will be equal to total supply in the equilibrium. This was our total demand. This is what we found previously. And this is the supply of the domestic producers, because there is a ban on foreign producers. Only domestic producers can supply that good. So these two should be equal. So if we do the algebra like this, we get P is equal to 36.76. And if we put this P in one of these equations, we will get the equilibrium quantity. It's 26.47. But there was a trick in our supply curve. So we need to check that the price is 36, let's say 36.5 for the convenience. So if the price is 36.5, it's less than 50. So both type of consumers demands that good. So for the spot, we are good. And the price is over 5. So the domestic suppliers are willing to produce that good. So this is our equilibrium answer if there is a ban on foreign trade. Is it okay for now? Okay, then I'm moving on for the last part of the question. So what is the equilibrium quantity and price when there is no ban on foreign trade? So we found that our aggregate supply is this if the price is over 10. So aggregate demand, this should be equal to aggregate supply, this in the equilibrium. Again, quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So this was our quantity demanded, 100 minus 2p. And this is our total quantity supplied, minus 115 over 6 plus 7 over 3p. So if we do the algebra, just put this on the left side and put it on the right side. If you can get p over here, it's 22.5. And put p in one of the equations, then you'll get quantity 45 as equilibrium. But again, we need to check the previous equations. So the price is 22.5. We assume that both type of consumers are demanding that good. The price is less than 50. So both man and woman demand oranges for the price 22.5. And for the supply, it's P is greater than 10. So on the aggregate supply equation, we are over here. This was the one we used for to find the answer on the equilibrium. So we are good for both demand and supply side. And then these numbers are our equilibrium answers. So this took less than I expected. Like, do you guys have any questions for me? So if there are no questions, I think we are done for today. The professor only sent me that question, and we are finished. I am recording the answer, recording this session, so you will be able to reach the video later on. We will send you a link, so don't worry about it. So we can finish our recitation today, like if you guys don't have any more questions for me. Okay, thank you guys for joining. We will also have recitation next week. It's either me or your other TA will hold it. Okay, see you guys later.